To get started with our unit on the War of 1812, rather than you read a story today, I'm going to read a little bit to you and just kind of get us ready for the War of 1812. There's some pictures that we're going to see. And I'm going to share some information with you guys about those pictures. So this first picture, it's got a caption underneath it. The United States, which is blue, Great Britain, which is red, and France, which is green. This image shows the continent of North America and Europe, with the countries of the United States, Great Britain, and France labeled. Long ago, the country where we live today, the United States, was not divided into 50 separate states. Native Americans lived throughout North America, but it was not very populated as it is today. The Atlantic Ocean, which is right in between here, is in between those countries. And even though these two countries were far away, they both sent people over here to explore the new land and to set up continents, set up colonies so that they could start enriching themselves. Down at the bottom here, we have a picture of Christopher Columbus. You can see his boats in the background. You can see that he came to the new land and claimed that land. As the story goes, in 1492, he was looking for a way to try to get to Asia faster. He sailed this way. Most of the time, people would sail down around Africa to get to Asia and then sail back around. He thought that you could sail this way and get there faster. He thought the world was round rather than the world being flat. Found this new land, came back, told people about it, and then other countries started sending more people. Picture right here, you can see we've got the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims were a group of people from England who sailed to America on a ship called the Mayflower to start a new life. The Pilgrims came to North America so they could have freedom to practice their own religion. And the first Thanksgiving we get from the Pilgrims after their successful harvest. Picture here, the Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War took place when America's 13 colonies fought for their independence from Great Britain. To be independent means to be free from the control of others. The colonies wanted to form their own rules and no longer pay taxes to Great Britain. The United States won the war. So, 1776, we decide we want to be our own country, and we fight for our freedoms. Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, two important documents that helped to figure out what our government was going to be like. The Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776. That's why we celebrate the 4th of July every year. The United States declared or stated their independence from Great Britain. The signing of the Declaration of Independence is celebrated each summer on the 4th of July. The document lists the natural rights that the Founding Fathers believed the people should have. The Constitution, which we just heard a little bit about in our other story, is another important document. The Constitution is the highest law in the United States, and it shapes the laws that affect many aspects of American life. It details how the country should be governed. Picture of our Founding Fathers on the bottom. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. Heard about James Madison in our other story. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison were our first four presidents after the United States won its independence from Great Britain. A person becomes the president by being elected by the people of the United States. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison were each elected by the people to lead the United States as president. They did not have the power that a king has, but had to work with others to make decisions and pass laws. These four men were also part of a large group of men called the Founding Fathers. The Founding Fathers created and signed the Declaration of Independence and later the Constitution. And then over here, we've got a picture of what the British government was like. King George III. The King of Great Britain was not elected into the position by the people he ruled. Instead, he became king because he was the son of a king. The British people did not have a choice. King George III ruled in Great Britain during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. King George III could make his own rules and did not have to get other people to agree. And then the other picture, this is Parliament. This is where the other parts of the government meet. This is part of the British government responsible for making laws. The reigning British king or queen is the head of Parliament. During the 17 to 1800s, the king made the final decision regarding any law and did not need the support of Parliament. Here we've got the original 13 colonies. In the beginning, the United States was not as large as it is now. People came to live in 13 colonies for different reasons, such as to have religious freedom or to look for riches. Colonial farmers. People living in the new country survived through agriculture, meaning they grew their own food. American ports, you can see a lot of ships, the docks and the water where the people came in from other countries and brought their goods. The United States sold such goods as cotton and tobacco to countries like France and Great Britain. Ships carried goods from the United States across the Atlantic Ocean to Great Britain and France. French and British ships also brought other goods back to the United States. And then westward expansion right there. So over time, people got tired of living just in these colonies and they wanted to expand out west, all this space that we had out west. So they sent wagon trains to head out west. Over time, people began to move west and explore the land of North America. Pioneers were people who went to explore or live in a place that they didn't know very much about. There were people referred to as Native Americans already living in these areas. Native Americans had been living on the land for a long time before the pioneers came to explore and claim the land of the United States. Sometimes, the meetings and interactions between the pioneers and the Native Americans were peaceful, and sometimes they were not. All right, which leads us up to the information on the War of 1812. Okay. And some of the things that we're going to see as we go through the War of 1812. You're going to hear about the USS Constitution. The USS Constitution was a very famous ship. Okay, the ships were made of wood and timber back then, not made like our modern day naval ships made of metal. You're going to hear about the cannons that were fired. There are still some places where you can go and see cannons like this. They have them up in Mackinac. When you get to be in 4th grade, you'll get to go up to Mackinac. You get to actually see one of these get fired off. And then American soldiers, back then, they used muskets, the guns that they have there, fired one shot at a time, not like the guns that we have now. And then you can see their general, their leaders up on the horse. And we've got an American flag flying. Places that we need to know about: Washington, D.C. Okay. We can see older pictures of what D.C. used to be like, paintings, and then current pictures of what D.C. looks like. We've got the White House, where the president lives, and then this is where all the laws and things are made. The Capitol it is today. And that's going to be our first story tomorrow. All right.